Welcome to 15 Minutes of Consulting Best Practices. My name is Maria Isabel Rios. I am joined by David A. Fields. Hello, David.
Hello, Maria Isabel. It is nice to see you again on a Monday.
Likewise, happy Monday. All right. You're welcome to post your comments and your questions in the chat. Welcome to all of you. For those who is your first time, a special shout out and welcome. This is very much a live session. It's very interactive. As you post your comments and your questions, we will address them as much as we can today. And if not, we'll either do it on a future session or offline. And this is all about you. It's about your questions about consulting. It's about helping you move your practice forward. So having said that, Deidre, can you please get us started with the first question? All right, David, this question is for you. How do you handle a client's resistance to propose changes on termination clauses, IP ownership within the MSA? This question from Brad, I think, came from last week's LinkedIn Live, right? Where we talk about MSAs and contracting and all of that. So, right. David, how would you address that?
That's right. And Brad, and Brad, I don't know if you're here, so hopefully you're here. You can wave or make a comment. And again, what Maria Isabel says is, as we're going through this, if you have more questions, just post them. Right. I think that we had talked about the original question was what to put into an MSA. And then Brad said, yeah, well, what about if they push back? So, it depends a little bit on who you're talking to. Not a ton, but it does depend a little bit, because if you're talking with the decision maker and the resistance is coming in from procurement, then you can ask your decision maker to help handle procurement for you on your behalf. And so the way you might approach it is just go to your decision maker and say, hey, there's a couple of these little clauses procurement is pushing back on. I'm sure it's part of their standard, but can you just help them get over that? But if you're talking with the person who has resistance, then I think you handle it pretty much the same way you'd handle all objections. But you start with a strategic delay, asking if there's any other concern. So what are all the parts of the MSA you've got concern about or questions about? And then explore the rationale behind the concern and agree with them. You always want to agree with your client because there's some point of agreement somewhere. And then ask their help in figuring out a path forward that serves everyone's interests. And what's important, of course, is to not get stuck on positions. They have a position, which is the position is here's the paragraph in that we like standard in an MSA. So if that's their position and you're stuck on your position, it'll be hard to get anywhere. But if you focus on interests, then you can resolve it. And your interest is in protecting your IP, which is the lifeblood of your firm. I think the cancellation clause is one of those things where there was a question. I mean, your interest is in de-risking your business, since you have limited resources and not being able to predict their deployment is very expensive. So I think that's what I would say is understand the interest on both sides. And usually if you do that and then collaboratively say, how do we serve the interests? Working out a solution that's acceptable to you isn't too hard. So those are my thoughts. Maria Isabel, want to add on, disagree, push back? What do you think?
The one add on, completely in agreement with you. The one add on I will have is that sometimes it's not procurement as a department. Sometimes there's an attorney involved.
Yep.
Don't be afraid to say, look, I don't want to talk legalese with an attorney. And our advice is definitely no, not to go one-on-one unless you're an attorney yourself. But to say, look, can I have 5 minutes with you and the attorney? Let's put on the table in front of the attorney's eyes what's behind my request or what's behind my pushback, and see if the attorney can figure out, figure out a way out of it, which is much more powerful than kind of imposing it on them.
Absolutely. And that's really good advice. You're right. You definitely don't want to get one-on-one. You really don't want to go one-on-one with anybody. You just need to understand what is it they're trying to do? Why do they have the clause in there? And then for us, as a consulting firm, here is why we want our clause. Here's why we want non-cancellation, or here's why we want IP protection. And once they understand, I've actually found most groups are willing to bend quite a lot. So, Brad, let us know if that answered your question, and any of the rest of you listening live or afterwards. Let us know any other questions you have on this.
David Graham has a question. Hi, Graham.
Okay. Hi, Graham.
What thoughts or mutually beneficial models do you suggest for consultants to work together in partnership with software businesses?
Yeah, that's a great one.
Question, Graham.
Yeah, that's a great question. So partnerships in general are probably one of our absolute favorite marketing vehicles, especially now post-pandemic. And we've had a number of clients partner with software firms and in various forms and fashions and extremely profitably. The ideal is where a software firm needs a consultant to help make their product sticky or work. I mean, clearly there's already a model for this for big software providers who then use consultants as integrators or folks that will onboard a new client into the software. So that's pretty well established. And those sorts of firms those sort of software companies will have already a setup that you can just go right into, that you'll fit into as a consultant. But if you're not working with someone like that, then just set up something where if you can be a benefit to them, they help sell you in, and they may or may not take a piece of it. Often they don't, because you're helping make their product sticky. And on the flip side, you might bring in software. There's software we recommend to folks, and we don't get anything for it, but it helps our clients succeed. And so it's a nice partnership. Marie-Isabel, what else? I feel like I skimmed the surface on that one.
And I think it can be pretty overwhelming if what the software firm wants is another salesperson in the form of the consultant. Say, look, there's overlaps within our tribes. Smart thinking, right? That's the same thing we propose. But we want you to bring our software to other folks. It can become a little bit overwhelming in differentiating. Does this fit with what your consulting firm does? Isn't it even something you want to take on as a consulting firm, to associate your name with a specific software? Or will you naturally, like David said, introduce the software to clients where you think there's a fit and for your clients to research?
Right. And I do think you're right. You want to be careful. And we have some clients where they have arrangements that they sell licenses of certain software. Right. And again, just sort of sort out from a strategy standpoint how that fits in with where you're trying to go. And it looks like Joanna has said she has a separate partnership agreement. That's though I can't tell whether this has to do with the software or this has to do with MSAs. But it looks like maybe both.
I think probably both. It's the link between the two questions. That's how I read it. And thank you, Joanna.
Thank you, Joanna. All right, let's see what else somebody sent in. Deidre, what else do we have? Okay, Adam said, I recently had a press release about my work shared on Bloomberg. Congratulations, Adam. PR folks suggested I share this article with clients and prospects. Okay, so it's a placed article. Would it be apparent to those clients that this is paid publicity and thus a bit phony to share? Interesting. If not, how would you create an email pointing to this article? All right, what do you think, Marie-Isabel? So it's actually a press release because he's using a PR agency, not one of our favorites. But what do you think? Is it fair to send that out to people?
I think so. So two thoughts ran through my mind as you were reading this. First is, why pay? And that question we'll put aside and leave it there back for you, Adam. Why pay? But I think since this is clearly an upside down email, meaning you want to put your content in front of folks, make it transparently upside down, right? It can still be with your voice. This is not about them. This is about, you have a piece of knowledge or a piece of PR that you want to put in front of them. Now, what that may look like? How about something like, hello, thought you might enjoy this piece in Bloomberg. I'm interested in your reaction. What are your thoughts? That's it.
Yeah.
What do you say, David?
Yeah. Well, first of all, I think you've nailed it. A couple of things. Yes, we should put aside this whole, unless somebody has a question about it, the whole idea of using PR firms, with apologies to all the PR firms out there. Yeah, I think you're right. It's okay on occasion to be upside down, to be about you and brag a little bit on your firm. And you want to go on LinkedIn, for instance, and message people and say, "Hey, press release about us went into Bloomberg. I'm really excited about it. Let me know what you think." Yeah, that's great. It creates engagement.
What are your reactions?
Yeah,
Right?
what are your reactions?
Or agree or disagree? Something that's an avenue for folks to interact with you on a one-to-one basis, which is the invitation.
Yeah, I think that's exactly right. If you're listening, if you have a question on that, put it into the comments. Deidre, what else do we have?
One more. Okay, let's go.
All
right.
We want to interview clients about their client experience. All right, I'm going to give you 2 in a row. What's the best way to do this? What do we ask them and how? Client experience. How do we do it? What do we do? How do we do it? What do you think, Isabel?
Oh, we love working on client experience because it's all about that, right? So what do you do? How do you do it? First, having a survey is a great idea. Standardize it in that you know what kind of questions you're asking on a regular basis. It will give you a point of comparison and also know what are meaningful questions that are important for your clients or not. You can send it to folks. We have our support staff do one-on-one phone interviews with all of our clients as part of our client experience. And usually we do them, I want to say a good 8 weeks
8 to 10 weeks.
8 to 10 weeks into an engagement. So there's enough that the client will have a better sense of what's working for them and what's not. And so that it turns into actionable feedback. The ultimate goal of a survey is to know how you can serve your clients even better. So I invite you to ask them just that. How can we serve you better? Or have your support team ask, how can Mary serve you better in the context of this engagement? For bigger clients, where the engagement has some, say, particularities, or we're focusing on a certain area, we customize it a touch. We don't overhaul our entire survey, but it is customized because it needs to be relevant to the project we're doing with them. What do you think, David? Anything to add?
Not a lot. I mean, I think you covered that pretty well. I'm not sure what the concern was behind that question, or maybe it's just like haven't done it before. Right. I would say just don't overcomplicate it. Just ask your clients what their experience has been, and ask them about a few different things. And like you said, most important is to get feedback on how you can improve, and so don't be afraid of that. Don't be afraid of getting negative responses. If someone says, well, we're not happy about something, you want to know that early. Right. And the fact is, there are times when clients will be unhappy. That happens to all of us who've been in consulting for any period of time. Not every project goes perfectly. But if you can find it out and address it, then that puts you in very good stead.
Agreed. We want to know always. So good idea. Ask folks. And create a safe space for them to actually tell you what they think.
Absolutely right. All right. So Maria Isabel, because we have to wrap up. I have a question for people who are listening. Because you and I are talking about, what if we gave the answer and asked people to come up with the question? We do a Jeopardy format. So I would like to hear from people. Would you be willing to, if we say what the answer is, would you be willing to type the question in the comments? We'll find out. Maybe we'll do this in Jeopardy format. But either way, we appreciate you being here. If you don't have davidafields.com Monday Live in your calendar, just do that. You could put it in your calendar for every Monday. That makes it easy to be with us here every Monday. Submit your questions to info@davidafields.com. We get great questions. Let's make sure yours is also in the queue. Connect with Maria Isabel and me. Deidre put it down there. And get the articles. I like the article we're doing this week. So if you're not subscribed to the article, definitely subscribe to articles. And that's it. Look at that. Another week. Thank you for being here. Have a fabulous week. Always remember, we talk about being right set up all the time. That's because consulting is not about you. It's about them. It's about your clients. It's about your prospects. So give them value and give them kindness. Maria Isabel, I'm going to be out gallivanting in Argentina, but you will be answering questions next week.
Right here on time.
Exactly.
Thank you all. Looking forward to seeing you next week.
Cheers. Take care all. Bye.